Hey folks, time for more Galactic Civilizations 4. We're playing as the Torians. And in the last episode, I was sending a couple of colony ships over to colonize these worlds here. And we're going to try to make an effort to keep hold of Ahriman 2. Now, Ahriman 2? No, Ahriman 3, sorry. So, it might be that we have to end up going to war with the Yor. Now, I'm not going to lose any of our territory, okay? So I'd rather go to war with someone than I would lose territory. So if it looks like they're going to be pushing hard on us, then yeah, I'm going to figure that out. Now, we do need to start putting... One of the mistakes I've made in this game, by the way, and it's because I've just been playing very chill and kind of, you know, just sort of coasting along with it, which is a problem that I sometimes have with 4X games. But is I've not been paying too much attention to making star bases, and star bases are really important. Now, one of the things that I like about GalCiv, especially on the high difficulty settings like this, is that you are pulled in different directions. Okay, so let's answer the comment. Actually, somebody said that they felt that the optimal choice in this game is always to keep your approval at a certain amount, 96% or something. Now, yes, it might be optimal to, you know, because approval is a modifier that affects everything. Well, it affects a lot of stuff. So you always want to have high approval. The problem is, just because something is an optimal choice does not mean that it's always possible, okay? What might be an optimal, you know, the optimal playstyle and choice on one game of GalCiv is going to be an impossibility in another, okay? So just because you can get, you know, it is optimal to get high approval does not mean you can always do that. And you can try to build, you know, so that you get approval high first, you know, the high approval first, so that you get the most or the least deduction from your planetary inputs. But good luck doing that on the higher difficulty settings, okay? Because not only have you got to build, the expensive entertainment districts, but you've also got to consider your manufacturing, because you can't lag there. You can't lag in money because you always need credits, and you've got to build influence if you're, especially in a situation like this, and you're going to be pulled in different directions. So just because something is an optimal decision does not mean that you are always going to be able to do it, especially in a game as complex as GalCiv, because, you know, there's going to be times when you just can't get that approval high, okay? Like, I mean, look, let's say we took Soma here in isolation. Okay, we've got 65 approval here now, so that's going up. But let's say I was back down at 38 or whatever it was. What are you going to do about that? You know, you can try building the entertainment districts, but not at the start of the, you know, once the planet is starting off. So you're going to have to eat this. And actually, there are certain core civs and, you know, certain ways that you can build the alien GPT civilizations, so that this is more or less of a problem. Now with the Torians, it's a bit more of a problem on non-ocean worlds, and you're not going to get that many ocean worlds. But as you can see, on ocean worlds, you're going to get a nice, you know, you're going to get a decent amount of approval. I've seen a lot of misunderstanding about GalCiv. People say that, you know, oh, it's too simplistic. Some people say it's too complicated. Some people say that it lacks direction. It's not a very tight game. Now, I think there's some argument to say that GalCiv isn't the tightest game in the world, but actually, the more I have to learn this game for work, right? And one of my jobs is to communicate, you know, the strengths of these games, right? Because I think with complex 4X games, particularly to this new crowd of people who are coming in from other genres who aren't used to such complexity in games, they find it really difficult to understand, and they you know, especially if you're coming from something like tactics games where the overall thrust of a game, or the gameplay loop, if you want to use that hated term, right, it's very much simpler, okay? Whereas 4X is huge, and these are sandbox games, and GalCiv is specifically a sandbox game as well. Like, this is about as sandbox as you get for a 4X game without it all falling to bits. So yes, you do. It does suffer from a little lack of tightness in places, but what it makes up for is the whole organic difficulty thing. I'm going to direct you guys over to the Stardock forums or to Steam and go and check out the recent developer blog that I just wrote for Galactic Civilizations 4, which is on the topic of organic difficulty, because I wrote that blog specifically to address these kind of points that I see where people are like, oh, it's just, you know, you just have to optimally do this. Is, you know, no, you don't understand the game. You cannot make critique about GalCiv until you've played it for a long time, because one thing that might be, you know, optimal in one playstyle is not going to work if you change the game settings, and the way that the game settings work in this game are crucial. you can make this game incredibly difficult. And it's got good AI anyway, right? It's got one of the best AIs in all of gaming, in all of strategy gaming. When you set it up right, and you can make this game brutally difficult if you want to, without even pushing up the artificial difficulty modifiers. Or you can make the game very, very easy for yourself. Like if you play as these guys, the Mimot, and you give yourself like a huge sector, and you put a handful of other civs in it. These guys are going to explode, right? And by the time anyone else is like to this level, they're going to be 5 or 6 times as big, because that's what they do. Okay, if you give these guys plenty of the Iridium, if you give these guys plenty of trading partners, they're going to get so strong. Okay, they're going to get ridiculous. But if you surround them with people who don't like trading so much and are going to go to war with them, like Cosmic Contaminant, the Yor, some of the other civs, if you they're not going to do so well. Okay. If you try and play the Kryn in a small galaxy, in a small sector, and you put them, in amongst some either dangerous civs or other ones that also push influence hard, you're going to struggle. You're going to have a hard time, man, because it's really difficult to rein in the constant influence growth of the Kryn. That's one of their most powerful tools, but if you put it if you're on the wrong map, it becomes a problem. This is why this game is amazing and why it's better than 9 out of 10 other 4X games, because it implies, or it assumes, that the player is intelligent and is not a min-max man necessarily, who is just going to immediately just look for optimal plays and get confused because it's really complicated, and they'll go, oh well, it's obviously you just do this and you obviously do that. No. If you try and play this game in an optimal way, the question then is, what game are you playing? Like, are you playing in a small sector with loads of civilizations in there? Are you playing in a large sector with just one? The game that the example that I give in the dev blog is, let's say you're playing the Mimot on a big galaxy, right? Or on a big in one big sector, or maybe you've got multiple sectors and there's not many other civs in there. That's a very chilled out, peaceful game, but it's an amazing optimization puzzle. So if you're a min-max man, if you're an optimizer, if that's an engineer and that's how you like playing, that is a really good fun way to play, because although you won't have much pressure in the game, at least especially at the start, you can have an amazing time just trying to rapidly optimize how you're expanding, because these guys grow really fast, right? So you've got to figure out how to deal with that, how to push them out quickly, and then you go try telling me that it's all about approval. So by the way, I'm not being mean to anybody. Like, I really appreciate all the comments I get, but one of the things that I must push back against hard is this idea that this is an easy game to figure out if you're an optimizer, because it really is not. Like, and I've got some understanding of complexity. I did a computer science degree, or best part of, and so I've got some understanding of how to work out complexity and difficulty. And I'm telling you, unless you always just play the same set of civilizations on the same map size, the same game settings, you ain't going to figure out the optimal way to play this game. Okay? It's not that simple. Because it's a sandbox game, there's so many ways to play it, and that is what keeps me playing this. So I often have people coming into some of the social groups I'm in, like Explorminate, and they'll make loud claims that the game doesn't make sense, or that it's not cleverly tied together, that the various things that Stardock have added are just there for more stuff to do. It's just not true. And I'm open. Like, if anybody you want to leave a comment and ask me about something, or you can make a criticism of the game. I'm not saying it's perfect, by the way, because it has got problems here and there, but for the most part, this has actually been a well thought out game. It was a bit of a broken mess when it first came out, but really, since the direction of the, since the boss took over again and started giving it his personal attention, he's really fixed this game up, in my opinion, and the development team that's been working on it have really fixed this game up in a big way, and that's a credit to the programmers, to the designers, everybody who's worked on this game since the original release has just made a magnificent job. And by the way, like, the people who were in charge of it for the pre-Supernova release, they had some great ideas. It just wasn't very well executed, and it had some problems, but it had some great ideas in it. The whole core world colony split is so good in this game. This has become a really good game. But it's not going to be for everyone, because if you're the sort of person who has to be led along by the nose, you know, because you're expecting a certain kind of difficulty curve that you're used to coming from simpler games, then it's going to be confusing. But if you understand how to make your own challenge in this game, and understand how to create the sort of simulate, you know, within this simulated universe, you can create the game that you want to play. Like, I know this really well now. Then you're going to have a blast with GalCiv, because it's really, really good. And it's got some issues. You know, there's still some stuff that needs tweaking. It's never going to be perfect, because that is the issue with when you get these very, very loose games. I'm afraid that they, by the very nature of a loose game, it's never going to be tight. But it's tighter than you think. If you look at it from what it's trying to do, which is be this big expansive sandbox game where you can create whatever you want in it and whatever situation that you want, and then experience that and play it, it's pretty good. It's the only this is it, like, and it's not because I work like let me start again. If I was, you know, I work for Stardock, right? And if I was playing a game of theirs that I didn't like, you know, like if I was working on a game of theirs I didn't like, I just wouldn't talk about it. I'd just do my job. I'd do my stuff for Stardock. You know, I'd whatever it is that I need to do, that's my duty as an employee, but I wouldn't talk about it outside. I'd just be like, and if people ask me outright, I'd be like, yeah, I don't much like that game. I don't think it's very good. I'd be honest, because that's how I am. Even if it, you know, and I think that's why Stardock like me, because I do speak my mind. I probably don't agree with everything that I say. In fact, no, they don't. You know, but like, that's partly why they like me, because I will say, hey, I don't think this is very good or whatever. And so I wouldn't be playing this, like, I'm not a shill. I wouldn't play this if I didn't think it was really, really good fun. And yeah, so I think that people's understanding of GalCiv's very, like, I can understand, like, for example, my friend Drexy doesn't like this game, but he doesn't like Civilization, and he feels that this is just Civ in space. Now, I'd argue that it plays so differently to Civ now. Like, and it plays differently to even GalCiv 2. So if the last one you played was GalCiv 2, this is pretty different, man. I mean, it's, you know, it's a similar-ish game. It's got the same skin, you know, and the same, I mean, if you really, really want to get minimalist, you can boil the core gameplay loop down, and it kind of similar, but it's not the same. It's completely different mechanically. And so, but yeah, Drexy doesn't like it, and that's absolutely fine. Like, you know, he doesn't like that. He doesn't like these kind of games. He doesn't really like 4X that much, I don't think, anymore. You know, he likes the simulation-based stuff like Distant Worlds much better, and that's absolutely fine. But so I think if it's not to your taste of game, that's absolutely fine, man. But where I do kind of get annoyed is when people just make sweeping claims that this or that, like, oh, it's, you know, either it's easy to optimize, or it's just some, you know, that it's bad because it's got, you know, they just say something stupid like it's got bad AI, which is just patently untrue. Or, you know, they'll say something like, oh, it's overly complex. Now, I think that overly complex is a complex topic, and I've discussed this quite a lot on Meta Abuse podcast. I won't go into it here, but I'm going to get back into playing anyway. But yeah, I just thought I'd address that, because I think that I do occasionally get comments when I'm playing GalCiv from people who don't understand the game, and they play it through once or twice and they think they get it, and it's like, you know, you need to play this a lot more. But that is part of the problem with this game, is that it doesn't really, you know, like I said in the dev blog, you really need to play GalCiv a lot to kind of understand how to play GalCiv, and that is a problem. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you know, so that's partly why Stardock hire me, so that I can explain how to get the best out of some of these games. And I think GalCiv, out of all of the, I mean, Sins of a Solar Empire does not suffer the same issue, but it's nowhere near as complex a game. Whereas GalCiv, you know, you come from something like Stellaris, which isn't a simple game, but it's not a particularly complex game, like, you know, in terms of what it can do. It's also a sandbox game, but it's pretty simple compared to GalCiv. And I think that, you know, I've seen people say, oh, this is just a copy of Stellaris. I'm just not seeing it, man. I don't think it's got anything, it's not remotely like Stellaris. Stellaris is a role-playing game cosplaying as a 4X with a terrible combat system, whereas this is like, you know, this is a proper 4X game, man. This is like old school 4X. They don't make them like this anymore. Okay, let's get back on with the game. So where were we? Alright. Oh, we're starting to build these. Ah, that's right. So I'm going to put a couple of these into Toria, just so that I've got a few more frigate level ships before we start getting these battle cruisers out. I'm going to colonize Polaris 1. That's going to feed into Ragnar Prime, give it a little bit more in the way of planetary inputs. Man, look at this. Big wealth input here. Oh, it'd be so nice if we could really leverage that in a big way. as always, pulled in many different ways. I'm going to send this probe. Actually, let's send it. I was meant to be sending it kind of this way, and then we'll head off up into your territory. I want to keep an eye on the Yor and figure out what it is that they're doing. By the way, if you're interested in checking out another YouTuber who really gets GalCiv, you should check out Daz Tactic. Daz understands how to play GalCiv, man. Like he likes these kind of games where there's lots of, you know, lots of player agency in terms of the way that you set things up. I think he really digs that kind of stuff, and it's to his detriment sometimes. Like Daz will sometimes refuse to play a game if it doesn't have like really extensive procedural generation, because that's his thing. And I feel like he sometimes misses out on stuff a little bit then. Actually, as I was about to, I've just started to record. Daz is teaching people as we speak how to play Dominion 6. So I missed out on that to do this, but I thought that I should get it. It's time to get a video out. What do we want here? How many trade licenses have we got? Oh, that's the wrong button. Oh, we got 7 trade. Right, we need to get more trade out. So Theelbar's got 15. Let me just sort these worlds. Okay. So Ragnar, Prime, and Rookbar. Oh, and Theelbar. They were all really good. Look, these are all going to give us good they're all going to give us good trade output. So it doesn't really matter where we build these. So let's get some teamers out. I'll get one. Might get a round of those and see if we can open up some trade with some of our neighbours. Can we just click on a ship that doesn't have? Oh no, we're really kind of tied just to dealing with the Mimot by the looks of it. Oh, I don't think we even get anything to. Can't even reach Fen, can we? Okay, I need to get some star bases out, I think, because our range is really not very high at the moment. Now we could make a teamer with more range on. That's an idea. So freighter. Let's start a new design. I don't think I've ever redesigned one of these before. I've never really felt the need to. But yeah, let's figure this out. Let's keep that this model. The game loads in a lot of assets, by the way, when it does this. So I'm just going to put this on. Yeah, we want life support, don't we? By the way, they've changed it now, so you can't just put the probe module on everything. I really like that. I thought that was a big change for me because it was just a no-brainer to put the probe module on everything, and I really hated it. I just thought it really diminished a lot of the fun in the game. Can we put another one on those? No, we can't. Okay. And then I guess one other thing we could do is just make them faster. So we could put an unshielded thruster on there. Because this is not going to be fighting. So I think that's going to be it. We could also put a sensor on. Is that worth it though? Nah, I don't think so. I mean, you could put a 6 sensor range. I wonder how much time it would take. I don't think you need a sensor on it, do you? We'll just put it like this. Okay, we're going to call it the Teamer Advanced ADV. Okay, there we go. Now I didn't even look at the old one just to see if that had the same modules, to be honest. Let's have a look at has it got 23 moves. So this is combat rating. 25 mass. Similar. I wonder if they put the same modules on. Just edit this. Let's go to design new class. And then we want to go to show ship designs. Got a cargo module. Oh, okay, so I didn't even put the cargo module on it. And it's already got the life support. Okay. I should have checked that before. So I put the unshielded thruster on instead of the interstellar drive. Let's just edit my design. Which one was this? Yeah, edit this design. Use it to start a new design. There we go. So we actually need to put the module on. Okay. We cannot fit. Wait, limit 1 per ship. Might be just because of the... Okay, have we already got this on then? Okay, so this is where I'm saying, this is one of the examples of what I'm talking about when GalCiv's got some problems. This is not that easy to read. I think this should be changed. So I don't think that you I think the cargo modules, transport modules and stuff should be hard-coded on the ship. I don't see the point of having those in any other way. I mean, I think that's what it's actually doing here, but it's not, like, for example, here, look, as you could see. Yeah, this is something I'm going to report as a bug, because I consider this to be a bug. So let's just go back in here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So, for example, the Team Advance, look, if we go to check out these ships, it doesn't say that it's got the cargo module on, right? But we have got the cargo hull. Whereas the Teamer here, this one's got a cargo module on. See what I mean? And it's included into the weight. So, yeah, that's just confusing. And I do wonder, this might be that this is an old module. This is an old model that's in the game files, basically, that wasn't updated when they changed this stuff. I think that's possibly what's gone on. But yeah. Anyway, just for a little bit of a battle mode aside there, another one. So yeah, we're going to build these new versions of these teamers. Now, I will be annoyed if I come to build this and then it actually doesn't have a cargo module on. That could piss me off a little bit. Let's send this over to Araman 3. Again, we want to get a decent fleet of ships over in Araman. At the moment, we've just got fighters and bombers there. That's not enough. We need to get more. Okay. Let's send this eel off to go and snipe some of these the space junk out from under the Yor's nose.
Precursor artifacts, remnants from the ancient civilization. These artifacts are of high value and contain important insights into the advanced...
50 research at this point. Is it even a lot? Don't know. Let's just get it anyway. Okay, so there we go. Let's just move that on by a month. It's better than a kick in the teeth, and probably better than one Durantium as well. Okay, let's send this probe. Let's send this probe up this way, and then we'll circle it back round into your territory. I want to keep an eye on the Yor. Now we have got this kind of. I did give them a little bit of diplomatic support. Yeah, look. So you'll see that they're moving up into cordial. When we're ready, we'll defeat them. I'd actually like to. I will take on the Yor because they are dangerous. I mean, we could try to provoke them into attacking us. That would be one way of doing things, and that would be a very, very Torian-like way of doing business. Let's get another teamer out. This one's at Thielbar. Let me just remind myself of. Yeah, this is still worthy of having a trade route, I'd say so. They want cultural outreach and armor defense theory. They're going to give us planetary adaptation, Avenger missile system and directed energy. They're not that close to us. I think this would be okay. And I don't want to strengthen these guys too much, though. I'd rather have star-based defense good, but actually getting those weapons techs isn't going to hurt us, and it frees us up that we can focus on other things for a few turns. I expect that these guys are going to be a rival to us at some point. And how are the Mimot doing? Yeah, the Mimot are not doing great. They're not doing badly though. Wow, the Kryn really are they are really jumping ahead. Okay, that might make itself. So I really like GalCiv as a kind of geopolitical game in a lot of ways, and I think that you'll start to see some interesting stuff cracking off between all these three factions at some point. If nothing else, the Yor and the Iconians are very much likely to be at war because they hate each other. Okay, where's this teamer? Okay, I forget how to spot where this guy is. Oh, that's weird. It used to be when you clicked on the ship, it would take you to it. Is it right click? Oh, that's another thing I've just found that's annoying me about GalCiv. Okay, let's just see if we can find the teamer. Here we are. It's there. There it is. All right, that's another thing I need to. Yeah, we need a quick way to find this because that's not easy to see. Okay, let me see. I think we send this to. Have we got one to Fen already? Trade route I'm talking about. We got one with those. Yeah, we have got one to Fen. Toria to Fen. That's Toria to Jewel of Hannah. Can we get to anybody else? Kind of close to the Kryn. Don't know if I want to trade with those guys though. They're going to be really dangerous. And we're not close enough to anybody else. I don't want to do any more trade with the Yor, I don't think. Let's get another one over to Fen. See what we can do with that. Okay, one more turn and we got battle cruiser Doctrine. It might come this turn actually. Yeah, there we go. Okay. These formidable warships are designed to strike fear into the hearts of our enemies and secure our civilization's place amongst the stars. Okay, so this is going to give us a whole bunch of cool stuff. Beam weapons, flexible bulkheads, that's going to give us more capacity. This is a really good one, let's go with that. It's going to take 6 turns to come out, but that's going to give us more capacity. That's really effective on small ships as well. These both going to the same place. Oh, that's a supply ship. There we go. So we can send that supply ship into Araman. Now, this gives us an opportunity. Yeah, we're going to have a whole bunch of stored goods here. We don't have enough crime to build that. We want economic stuff on here, don't we? So the colony unique trade network or the governor's mansion would be pretty useful. I would increase that would be good for him. That would push him over the 90% threshold you need for positive. It's quite expensive to build though. I think the trade network's probably a better bet. Get that down here. We could also do with an influence building as well. I might even want that first. Yeah, it's going to be 100 construction costs. That should come out next turn. We're going to be relying on supply ships for a little while for that. But now we've got more planetary inputs. Look, wow, look at this. Again, really high, really high wealth input. Eventually, we'll be able to switch our manufacturing over to, to credit production. Okay, this Hermit Crab is a flagship, I think. Oh no, it's a constructor. Okay, so yeah, I remember what I was doing with this. We want to be building. Yeah, I want to put a communication starbase here. Our economic starbase might be better to the start. Yeah, let's get the economic starbase, and I'll put another one up shortly afterwards. We can actually put a cultural exchange on here, but first, I think we want the factory. Now, how many modules have we got? We've got 2. Do we want the market? Yeah, let's put this market on. We've only got one more. Put the 0G scaling. Now we want some more starbase modules because we can build more stuff there. So that's going to be important. In fact, I'm actually going to build that first, I think. No, let's get the Hermit Crab up first. We'll get this. We'll get the second constructor. We can also get these as asteroid mining as well. I might build an asteroid miner just so we can grab that clump. Alright, this probe is going to be sweeping through your space. Let's try and get an eye on what's going on around here. They don't have a huge economy by the looks of it, fortunately. They're beating us though in score. It might be that they're building a military, which could be pushing them up. In which case we do need to consider building some more. Ragnar Prime. Let's get one more teamer advanced. No, did I build a teamer advanced or a teamer in the other one? I'm just going to check this, guys. Ah, yeah, I thought I'd made a mistake. Not a big deal. Okay. So, what do we want? Okay, so we can actually start building cruisers. Now, some of these are, yeah, they're wanting Illyrium. I don't think we can afford that. I'm thinking that Illyrium's going to be expensive. Yeah, look at that. 195, that just isn't much in the galaxy. I think we need to redesign a cruiser that doesn't use an Illyrium component. So let's do that. Because it looks like most of these, apart from this one here, Araman shipyards, this is not the best place to build a cruiser anyway. I'm going to wait for building fighters. Why? Because we're getting an upgrade soon that is going to enable us to be building better stuff. It's probably asteroids that we can be mining around here, eh? No? Okay. In that case... These are the missile attacks. Let's just get a missile attack ship. I've not built one of those yet. It's going to be a class as a prototype. Okay, let's send this teamer out. Again, we can't quite reach everything. Let's send them over to... I'll send it out here. I do wonder if, like both of our neighbours, we're probably going to end up being at war with at some point, unless we can find somewhere peacefully integrating with them, like with some kind of an alliance. And that to split our empire somewhat. No, I'm not giving you all that. You're having a laugh, mate. You're having a giraffe. Okay, so let's figure it out.
The lead captain of your fleet has reported discovering a stray cargo container floating in space. Upon inspection, they found a sophisticated armor module inside that can be retrofitted to a starship.
Yep, let's just store that one. Now, the next time we manage to get a... In fact, we can buy a leader look. Got one with a decent... Career diplomat. Okay, he's great. Look, he's going to give us growth, -1 growth, but plus 20%, and then he's going to give us +3 influence when he's a governor as well. That guy's pretty useful. Let's grab him, and I might put him in. Influence is going to be social skills, right? Yes. So let me think. Which is the closest one? Araman 2. What's the governor of Araman 2 like? He's not great. So he's got decent diligence though. Yeah, he's losing social. Like, let's just get rid of him. Let's just fire him, and then we're going to put this guy in instead. Now then we're going to give him a gift. Look, so we're immediately going to push his loyalty back up. When we've got another harmony crystal, I'll give it to him again, I think, and we'll push his loyalty up even higher. Now this guy. Oh God! I just saw what I did. I'm just being dumb now. Yes, this is the one that I wanted in here. Yeah, there we go. So actually, this is going to help us because we're going to end up with better growth and better influence just as a result. If nothing else, he's got higher social skills. Okay. Now we could put him somewhere, but I think we might be having. Could put him as a diplomat. The thing is, he's got lowish social skills. He might be better in a faction. Ah, there we go. He's going to work nicely in the Warforged because he's not going to give us very much crime as a result. There we go. So that worked out. Apart from wasting a harmony crystal, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. Here on Soma, get a supply ship. And continue with the supply ships here. Araman probably wants a supply ship too. And let's send this one into Soma, just to keep building it up. As you can see, the supply ships enable you to build stuff pretty fast. Okay. Then we need to work on reducing pollution because Soma's got pretty bad approval. And there's stuff that we can do for that. Yeah, we've got the space elevator here. I might actually switch that out for climate control. Oh no, it's not climate control. It's the atmospheric cleanser. There we go. So that's going to reduce our pollution. Yeah, quite significantly. That's going to help them because the Torians do not like pollution. They really hate it. They get bigger penalties from pollution than other civilizations. Oh, sorry, from other citizens. Okay, send these guys over this way. Alright guys, I'm going to end the episode there, I think. It's probably as good as time as any. Oh, we got a battle. Just to see what this is. Burning Soul Fleet 7's last stand. It's an Umbral horror. So our cruisers look, the Eye of Odd. Okay, let's just put on our ship hoods. Oh no, we're going to lose, I think. It's going to be close. No, we're going to be alright, I think. Yeah, we got this. Great stuff. Okay, it's one of the biggest space monsters you can get. That did some fair damage to our cruiser as well. To our, to our... Oh no, it was a frigate, but it was still a flagship frigate. I'll just play this last turn, then we'll end it. Okay, let's get a supply ship out. And then we're going to start building some more military stuff. Alright guys, we've got a team. I think I'm going to end it here. Send this out to the Jewel of Han. Or Jewel of Hannah 1. Anyway folks, I'll catch you next time. Take care.